Hello, now together with members of VG Tips, I was delighted to see Sky Lantern win the 1,000 guineas, one of two double-priced winning tips at VG Tips on Sunday, May the 5th. Like many, I was overjoyed for jockey Richard Hughes on his first classic win. And dare anyone say winning doesn't mean much to a champion jockey, well then just go watch Hughes's tears at the end of that race. Pleased for him, for Lizzie, who 24 hours earlier had been distraught at the defeat of Tornado, and pleased for those future young jockeys in the Hughes household who clearly have their eye on following in father's footsteps. His autobiography is now out in paperback. It's a great read, so go buy it. Now, at the end of 2012, Richard Hughes invited me into the family home to talk about his life and times in racing, and this is the first chance that non-members of my selection service at VG Tips have had to see that interview in its entirety.
Obviously today in Windsor, the 7 winners, that was very special.
Thank you for that, by the way. 40-1 treble I had on 3 of those.
Oh,
so
good.
Thank you very much.
It was very serene throughout the day because I knew I was going to ride more winners after every winner I rode.
You did?
Yeah, I just knew. Because Windsor's one of my luckiest tracks. I ride the place quite well. And I just knew it would happen. And when the 6th one got beat, all the pressure was off that I was going to go through the card. And I knew I was going to have definitely one more, maybe two. So I enjoyed it as it went along.
And you say in the book about that, you brought up the Windsor thing, and somewhere in the book you talk about now you have a good record there, and you have a certain way of riding Windsor. Can you tell me what that is? Can you explain that to me?
I don't seem to ride as many winners when the ground is soft.
Right.
Now, whether that's because Richard Hannon's horses, as a rule, don't really like soft ground. But definitely, when they go the far side, they start racing too early. And the track doesn't ride the same. So you could have a regular winner at Windsor. When they go the far side, he mightn't run the same race at all. It just rides a totally different place. But when they stay on the stand side, you can control a race to go the speed you want to go. And I think going the shortest route is very, very important.
You've come a long way from Chestnut Lady. Tell us all who Chestnut Lady was.
Oh, she was a little pony I had. There was a guy in the town, in Kildare town, called the Bear Smith, and he owned her. None of his kids could ride her. So someone suggested that I should try young Desi Hughes' fella. He'd be able to ride it. So he sent it over anyway to go pony racing. And we got on like a house on fire, and then she started to win. And when she won 4 in a row, he said, I want her back. Of course, the tears come on, and Dad managed to buy her. I think it was £1,000 at the time, which was...
For too much?
Oh, it was like paying 20 grand for a pony now, I'd say.
But whereas, I mean, it could almost be a competition question. What's the most prolific winner Richard Hughes has been on? And it's actually, it's not Paco Boy, it's not Camford Cliffs, it's...
Yeah, she got me going.
Chestnut Lady.
Yeah, I used to sleep with her some nights. But that's where I learnt my trade and I learnt my skill, and trying different styles on her in the afternoons, and then go on Sunday and try and ride the perfect race. It was great fun.
And pony racing, you're a big advocate of pony racing.
I had my first winner when I was 7, and my young fella's 5 in April. I can't believe he let me go around, because it was quite dangerous.
I can believe in the book you were making money. I mean, you were making an income at what, 10 years of age?
Yeah.
Pony racing.
Yeah.
You didn't need pocket money.
No, very self-supporting. If I had a good day, I'd come home with 60, 80 quid. Those days were a lot of money.
So now you would say, and I think you said in the book, it's happening a bit more here now in the mainland Britain. It's always been going on in Ireland, but you'd be a big thumbs up for pony racing.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I just think at the moment they're running the race a bit far.
Right.
I've seen a mile race for 14 hands ponies around Sandown, and that's a grueler even for any horse. I think it's just too far, and because ponies like to run, and when young lads get competitive, to go very fast early. And the last 3 furlongs, they absolutely walked up the straight. I would prefer to see them run over 5, or on the more turning track.
The name Desi Hughes was often spoken in my house when I was growing up. What do you learn about racing in general from your dad?
Well, throughout my career, even pony racing, he was a massive help. Like, the most important thing, you have to find a rhythm in a race. A horse can't go faster than he's able, and the last jockey that goes for a stick usually wins. So invaluable advice.
And of course, the whip thing, you became attached to much later on in your career, the whip band story. But your dad really drummed into you about the use of the whip, yes?
Oh, ingrained it into me, yeah. And
use it late. Use it.
oh, the last jockey to go for stick usually wins. So he would say, grab them and push them and do everything you can before you actually give them a slap. And I've always believed in that. And I remember one morning when I was riding a 2-year-old and he was a bit of a playboy, and I gave him a few belts behind the saddle, and Dad seen the whip marks and it wasn't pretty. He bet me around the box for about 10 minutes. And it was ingrained into me that you shouldn't be beating horses. The only time I felt a little bit funny when I was in the yard as a young fella.
Yeah.
The boss's son, I hated that. But I suppose that's natural. But I never felt that I had to ride more winners.
Right.
I wish I was as good as him around Cheltenham. That was about it.
Your idol as a boy was Lester Piggott, and you say in the book about how you tried to, from an early stage, imitate his riding style. Describe to me that riding style, if you can, put it in words.
Yeah, the fact that I kind of sit quite high in the saddle, that has only become because I'm quite tall and lanky. And when I was about 18, I came back from Australia. I'd grown a lot, and I had to change my style just to adapt, because I was getting too tall, and the way I was riding it wouldn't have suited. So that happened by accident, but I just loved the way he rode his race. I never forget Survivor, you know, and just arriving there in the Derby without giving him a belt. That to me was just pure class.
Pinch yourself, years later, you're beating Lester Piggott in a race.
Yeah, still have the photograph. Very lucky to ride again him, because he came back out of retirement, so I was very lucky and privileged.
But it must have been incredible for you having you had scrapbooks on him, didn't you? As a
Oh,
kid,
everything, videos.
Yeah.
But I couldn't believe how brave he was. That was the first thing that struck me, because I always had this perception of him riding around Epsom and Ascot and things like that. But when he arrived down in Killarney, one of the tightest tracks in Ireland, and some young fellow went up his inner, he nearly killed him. You know, just to have that grit. One of your best friends can get on one of your rides, you know. And you might say, oh, best of luck going out. God, I hope it doesn't win. It's a funny game, but there's enough in racing to go around for everyone. And if you have to stay bitter about losing one ride, you're in the wrong game, because it's going to happen. It's a very cutthroat business.
Another quote, this we must nail once and for all. You refer to as a textbook Richard Hughes special ride. What is a textbook Richard Hughes special ride?
Well, probably just landed one quite late. People used to say I'm a hold-up jockey, but I feel I'm just as good from the front, especially around Windsor and places like that. But I suppose if one wants to be held up, and maybe a little bit roguey that actually doesn't want to win, I feel that I can, you know, just ride them a certain way that they don't know they're in the race until the last 100 yards, and you can nearly get them home from that.
But you don't have a preference in as much as each horse needs something different, presumably.
No, sometimes I'll be told to make the run on the horse, and I actually canter at the start, and if they duck out going down or be very leery, I'll go to plan B and I won't make the run, because obviously if they're looking around going down, they're going to do the same coming back.
Yeah. Most of us recoil, I do, if I run a hot bath and dip my toes in it and it's too hot and my skin goes red. Explain to me how on earth you lay in a hot bath, and I mean scalding hot bath seemingly, for an hour. How do you do it? Doesn't your skin go red? Don't you go out?
Oh yeah, and you'll be all withered and coming out, but you have to do it. I'm not the only one that does it. There's plenty of lads doing it. It's funny enough, some Johnny Murta hates the bath, cannot get in the bath, but at the same time he'd rather go for a run for 5 miles. which I would rather stick needles in my eyes. But yeah, you get used to the bath. You'd be in it for probably 15 minutes at a time, and then you get out and sit on the side, and then back in again, and you break it up a little bit. But I'd probably be in it 40 minutes in total, and then I put the bathrobes on and the towels in it, so I'm probably sweating for a whole hour, because you keep sweating when you come out of the bath.
I never knew that until I read your book.
Yeah.
And this is all, of course, in the continuing mission to, as you, I think, talk in the book about the war you have with your body or whatever, the constant war. Is that still ongoing?
I find that as a way of life, you know. I couldn't believe riding if you didn't have to sacrifice.
Right.
You know, there's some lads lucky enough that they don't have to waste, but they find plenty other things to moan about. But no, it's the same as people going in on the tube every day. I couldn't do that, into London to work. You know, it's not the worst sacrifice in the world.
No.
Well, luckily enough, the drug tests came in England.
Right.
Now, I hadn't taken them for probably 2 years before the drug test came in, when Dad gave me the big lecture.
Right.
But Dad flew over from Ireland one day. Lizzie told him that I was taking them, I was killing myself. And he came over and gave me a big lecture and frightened the life out of me. And
But I spoke to AP about them. I mean, there's still jockeys taking his pills to make the weight, no?
No, they're illegal now. The
It's
Lasix, yeah.
Okay. So that's a thing of the past.
It is, yeah, thank God. Because they say that motor neuron disease can come from them. So, or they reckon that it could be a form.
Paco Boy. Tell me about Paco Boy. What was...
He was a wonderful horse. I remember when he arrived in the yard first, straight after the breeze-ups began my gallop. Richard Senior did. Richard Junior bought him, and Senior gave him a gallop. And he worked pretty ordinary now. And Senior turned to Junior and said, "What the hell did you buy that for?" And because he worked bad, Richard just laid off him for 4 months. And just forgot about him, left him there, and just done the normal canters every day until he strengthened up a bit. And he ran in August in a maiden in Kempton, I think. And I got off and rode one of Brian Means' the favourites. And I managed to win, and Paco Boy flew home to be fourth. Very eye-catching. And he went to Newbury the next day and he won a maiden 5 or 6 lengths. And Ryan rode him that day, I rode something else. And Murta pulled up and said, "Bloody hell, that's good." And I said, that wasn't a good maiden. I said, "That horse isn't that good." And he turned out to be a champion. But he never really done much at home.
Right.
And he got better and better and better.
What was the highlight of Camphor Cliffs beating Golden Cobra?
Probably a Royal Ascot, yeah. With the hype involved. But he was completely the opposite. The first morning I rode him, I thought it was the best horse I've ever ridden.
Right. The first morning,
yeah,
you judged that?
Yeah, he hadn't been sold at the time.
Right.
And I said it to Richard, or he might have been he was sold, Robin had just bought him.
Right.
And Richard had another share in something else himself. And I said, "Ask Robin, can you have half share in this and give him your half share in the other one?" He said, no, I can't do that. I said, "This is the best you've ever trained." And he started laughing and drove off.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you tell me, can you put your finger on what made you think that when you...
So suppose someone driving a Ford Escort or anything every day of the week and then they jump in a Rolls Royce. It's the very, very same feeling. He absolutely loves his horses. There's most trainers, you know, they love horses, but Henry gets a very special connection with them. And although he trains them hard enough, you know, Henrys are always fit. First time out, it might need to run. Henry Cesses don't need a run, they're fit. The gas thing about Henry, if you entered a horse at the 4-day stage, or you were looking at a race, and there was an eye-catching horse that had a run previously, finished second in a Newmarket maiden, and you'd say, well, maybe we'll dodge him and go somewhere else. No, just tunnel vision. If he's good enough, he'll win. No, it's probably a good attitude to have, is you really find out what you've got then.
And so therefore, not just the racing public, but you guys in the game must have been pleased for him, re Frankel.
Oh, it was brilliant for him, you know, and he trained them brilliantly. And I rode the mother, so He wasn't that easy to deal with at the start. He was very hyper. If someone else had him, he could have just went the other way. But he insists on you walking really slow to and from the gallops, and all that gets him. If you watch Henry Cecil's horses in the braid ring, how slow they walk, they're nearly in a trance. And I think only Henry could have got him as relaxed as he did.
I spoke to somebody yesterday who said he didn't beat much, Frank.
Well, everyone's seen Exhilaration win the mile at Ascot, and he made him look like a slow horse. I think the best thing was that when he won the mile at Ascot, at Royal Ascot, he done the last 5 quicker than the King's Stand.
Lots of people have interviewed you about the page-turning chapters of your war with alcoholism. I don't particularly want to do that because I want to talk about Richard Hughes, the jockey and the man, more so. What I do want to ask you, without betraying any confidence, is obviously, as you did in days of gone by, are there still jockeys riding pissed?
I wouldn't say pissed, and I've said it in my book that although I was an alcoholic, I didn't turn up, drunk. But the only thing would be in my head was to get finished as quick as I could, so I could get drunk. But me having a weight problem, I had to get up every morning and take off 4 or 5 pound or more because I was drinking. So you'd be well sobered up after taking off 4 or 5 pound. But
I mean, what are the rules now? Are they the same as driving a car?
yeah, I think it's 16 or something you can't blow over.
Right.
And they come up randomly, so you never really know when they're there. Thank God I'm not. I would definitely be over the limit from the night before, and I wouldn't be eating, you see. So if I blew in the bag, although it'd be pretty sane or normal, I probably wouldn't pass the breath test.
Well, those days are long behind us. When was your last drink? Or do you need to
Cheltenham, coming up 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah, nearly 8 years.
I was especially pleased to read that Johnny Murter, another man who's battled alcoholism, is the all-round decent chap I always suspected he might be.
Yeah, there's no doubt I don't believe I could have done it, because I've always found an excuse. Because you go to AA meetings and you have greengrocers, vets, people in business, all different business, but a jockey's been a very unique thing, especially with her having to lose weight. And I said, well, they don't have to do what I have to do. So it would have been a very good excuse for me not to keep it up.
Johnny Murter had been a friend for a long time, and you had seen him when he was on the booze, and then we come to a situation where he's not, and you are, and you went to him for help.
Yeah, and he's seen the decline in me. It went from a good time to drink necessity, and he's seen that point in me. And when I rang him and said, I need to have a chat with you, he owned there and said, "Dodge, you'd never go." He knew exactly what I was there for. The
Alcoholic Anonymous sessions you went to and all that, the AA Serenity Prayer is...
Yeah, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
One overriding impression that comes to me reading the book, and that's that you've been surrounded by some special people who love you, who've stuck by you. Your wife Lizzie, of whom now I'm so full of admiration having read the book, I probably want to buy one of her hats. Trainers who have stuck by you, taking you back, some loyal mates in the weigh room. You didn't get where you have got alone, did you?
No, and I'm very aware of that. If I was probably looking at someone like me, I'd probably say, to hell with you, how many chances do you want? Brought Lizzie through terrible times, and she stuck by me, and Mum and Dad, and even Richard and Joe watching me, I'd gone out with their daughter and I'm back in the Mickey, and they stuck by me too, so they must have seen some good side in me somewhere along the line.
There's a caption on one of the photos of Richard Hannon Senior, where the caption is, or your words are, he enjoys winning. I wish as many more trainers did enjoy winning that much.
Yeah, like in Newbury when Paco won, he tears in his eyes, but that's how much it means to him, he absolutely loves it. And even if I go down to Brighton on a Monday afternoon and I get beat on one, and ride 3 other winners through, I'll arrive in Tuesday morning walking around the ring and goes, what the hell were you doing on that? You know, he wants to win every race.
And you're telling me some trainers don't enjoy winning?
I'm sure they do, but you could just see how, you know, when it brings a man to tears, for a man that has so many winners every day, and then when he gets a really good one, how much he enjoys it.
I think you talk about the exhilaration of, there's nothing better than riding
Yeah.
a fast-moving horse.
It infuriates people when I drop a horse out. The main reason I drop them is because they're going too fast. 9 out of 10 handicaps over 7 furlongs, they will be going they'll be going 6 furlong pace. And the reason I ended up sitting last was, why does he have to sit last? The reason being, if you're 2 lengths near, you're in the bunch, and you have 4 horses in front of you and 4 either side of you, and maybe 1 or 2 behind you. So if the 2 horses in front of you stop, you have nowhere to go, only backwards. But if you're out the back on your own, and you're 2 lengths off the group, you can go exactly where you want to go, and you can pick them from halfway who's stopped and who's going well, and you've done your homework before you go, so you know your dangers. If your danger on the right is gone, then you start looking, well, where else can I look? Oh, there's Spencer on the left, and you try and get in his slipstream, and then they open the gaps for you, you know. So there's a reason you sit last, and Jamie does it as well.
Yeah.
But the reason being is that you have much more options at a vital stage of the race.
And you see a gap, and how many seconds do you have to go for that gap?
Well, you don't think about it. It's a reaction.
At what speed?
Well,
are
they
you
open
going?
and they close, you know. So
And you're going at what speed?
I suppose 35 miles an hour. Yeah. But it's brilliant. There's nothing better when you're going well and there's guys beside you dropping back, and you know you're going to win and you're 10 lengths off the leader.
And you know.
Oh, you know. Because you don't even have to quicken, you just have to wait till they stop.
The possible downside to Twitter for a jockey is that all us punters out there who have something to moan about will call you names. How on earth does a jockey switch off from some of the stuff you see on Twitter alleging this, that and the other?
Yeah. It was actually McCoy on the train one day. We're coming back, I think we went to London about the whip thing, and he came back and he said, I'll tweet it. And I thought, what are you on about tweet? I hadn't a clue what he was on about. So he introduced me to Twitter, and got going. He said, all I tell you, he says, don't be tipping horses
No,
on it.
obviously not. No.
He said it's not worth the hassle you get. And I enjoy it, and I meet old friends and that. You know, from Australia, Rodney Griffiths texts me, well done in your 7 winners, haven't seen you in ages. But things like that, and you do get abuse now and again, which you have to.
Do you read it, or do you just skip through it?
Some days I do. When I was in America, Sky Lantern didn't get a run. Lizzie said, don't turn on your Twitter, or you probably will jump off the building. But yeah, you get just saying you stopped it and you're an arsehole and things like that. She gets, you know, people are entitled to their opinion.
Yeah.
Sometimes I reply to wind them up
Do you?
and go, ha ha ha, you know. Or did you stop that? And then you write back, of course I did, just to annoy them.
It's just that I was told this morning that the AP had blocked a regular punter on Twitter who had kept saying that, you know, he always lost. AP always lost on odds on shots, so just don't touch him. Now, an AP's blocked this person, and I couldn't believe, you know, obviously I don't know him anything like you know AP. I couldn't believe that a champion jockey could be bothered to block somebody. You know, a punter who's probably talking out of their pocket.
Yeah, but he's probably pissing them off, blocking them as well.
Yeah, right.
You know, so that you get that little bit of kick out of it as well. I've had one real nasty tweet. It was really bad now. So I blocked him and reported or whatever you have to do. But
I can't imagine you waste time on it, but are the jockeys in the weighing rooms talking about their tweets and the
No.
reviews they get of people saying, oh, look at this.
no, it's great when you're taking the mickey out of each other and you put something up on it. That's great fun. And it's great when you're in the car going home
Yeah.
and you're bored and you're sitting there and you just go through tweeting. That's basically what I use it for when I'm bored.
I wasn't one of those that Lizzie warned you about on Twitter that day. I don't normally bet on horse racing overseas because I don't know enough about the others, some of the others in the racing, so I tend to avoid it. When you tweeted about how happy you were with the draw for Sky Lantern, you tempted me in, dear boy. What went wrong with Sky Lantern?
Just couldn't get a run. I've analysed the race, and if I was to ride her, I'd probably much do the same again and hope for the split. I wasn't going out to America to sit 3 wide and say, oh, I didn't do anything wrong. She wasn't good enough. You know, very hard to win America when you're going wide. And that's why the draw is so important. So I was in the rail, I was in behind probably 3 or 4 horses. And it just didn't open up. I had to go a slingshot to get out off the last bend. And when I came out, the horse knocked me back in. I reckon I was off the ground. Because normally I moved 2 horses to come out at an angle to hit the other horse, to make room. And when I made contact with him, I reckon I must have been off the ground. Because I went flying back in. It was like giving someone a shoulder and rubbing and come off the worst. But I reckon she was off the ground. And when he pushed me back in, there was 4 horses in a row, and there wasn't 2 inches of daylight between the 4 of them. And then I just stuck there. What can you do? And Ryan went around exactly the same position on George Vancouver, and it opened up lovely for him. But that's racing, and if I was to dwell on it, I'd be wasting my time, you know. It's over, just get on with it. I'm sorry for everyone that backed him.
I let
Yeah, but the owners, I was distraught. I'm so sorry, you know, because it's annoying because she was so well going out, and we made the right decision. We made the plan in August, and the lads going out all excited, so I felt that I let them down. But at the same time, if you're unlucky, you're unlucky. You know, there's not much you can do about it. But in Churchill, I just found that when they swung for home, it's an even tighter bend, and the bend throws them a little bit to open them up. And Santa Anita, it rides so well and it turns so well that no one, you know, there's not many holes made because of that.
And Ryan's a good friend. He just doesn't do the media, does he? Really, he just doesn't come across as...
No, he just doesn't like it, you know. And
why should he? I mean, my attitude, my response to this, when people grumble about Ryan Moore and miserable and this, that and the other, is he's there to ride winners. He's there to ride horses. He's not there to be a media-lovey...
Yeah, and the punters when they're backing him, I'm sure they're not complaining when they're watching him inside the 2-pole. Oh, he doesn't do media. He just wants to ride his horses, get on with his job. And people would beg someone to be like that. Especially if I was his boss, brilliant. All he has in his head is riding horses. I do my interviews and my bit,
and you're more comfortable with it now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm comfortable, and I feel that, you know, it helps a little bit.
But presumably you and Ryan will be up against each other again next season. And
oh yeah,
the gloves are off.
He'll do the riding, I'll do the talking.
And you alluded to there, it's in your epilogue, and I was struck by, there's no doubt in your mind, Richard Hughes' mind, what you're going to do when you finish as a jockey.
Yeah, I'm going to train. Can't wait. I don't want to give up riding when people are saying he's gone, you know, or he's past it. I'm going to try and go out with him on top, preferably 4 or 5 years. But I don't want the public to retire me, or someone else to retire me. I'd give up when I think it's...
How
I always felt Pat Edrick gave up too young.
Right.
I don't think Pat really wanted to give up. It was the pressure year on year. Are you going to give up this year? Is it next year?
Right.
And I think he kind of actually ended up believing them in the end.
Surely this means you're going to be in training opposition with your brother-in-law.
Yeah, no doubt. I've learnt my trade in Hannon, so...
That could be fun.
Yeah, and I've been to Australia, I've been to India and America. Took a little bit out of everywhere, but all those little things would be based around what I learnt off Richard Hannon.
What's one thing don't we punters fully appreciate about racing or being a jockey, about the job of being a jockey? What don't we? Because we're never going to ride. I'm never going to. What don't we get?
Yeah. Should we all know watching race now? What's he doing there, or what? Why did he ride it that way? We do get instructions, and people that own the horses, like you might say, sure, I'll make the running today, will I? And they said, oh no, we don't want you to make the run today, we want you to drop it in. Like, they're paying 1,500 quid a month for that horse. And you have to respect that if that's what they want, that's what you have to do. And it might be the wrong thing, but at least give it a go once for them. They own the horse. So you might be being abused there. And you're riding for the owners. You're not riding for the punters. Although the punters are on you, and you're still trying to win. But the first man you have to look after is the man that owns the horse. And the other annoying thing is when you're in a race and they're going slow, and you read the paper going out and it reads like they're going to go quick.
Right.
And you do your homework and your form, and they jump out and they go flat to the boards for a furlong. So you've slid it back a little bit, and next minute to put the brakes on, and you're sitting about 8th or 9th and they're not going very fast. And people say, they weren't going quick. They're not going quick, which there's nothing you can do when you've 4 horses around you. They're not going fast. It's just as if you're just going to jump up and go past them all. Like, we do know when we're in the wrong place. People think that we don't know, especially on the television. Oh, he's definitely in the wrong place. We do know that when we're going along. We like to put up a little flag, I know.
I asked AP what the most, to give a, obviously not talking about horses specifically, a tip to punters that's something that we don't see, we don't get. Now I asked him if the ground conditions was the most important factor in racing, and he said no, it's not the most important factor, it's one of. Trainer's form isn't the most important factor, because one day the trainer's going to be out of form and you don't know what day they. Can you open my mind? Can you switch a light on in my head, or even if it's about a specific course or something that would help me make back my money you lost me on Sky Lantern?
I would look at, on a busy Saturday, where the big boys are going, because you can only go to one meet. Right. If you've Haydock, Newbury, we'll say Sandown and Chepstow, you can only go to one place, and you can get, on a Saturday you can get 5 or 6 good rides at any place. So you look to see which meet. He's definitely going for one. You base your rides around one horse to start with.
Right.
And then figure out the conundrum of which one he's going for. It's usually your boss as well. But your boss is going to have runners everywhere. Well, most of us anyway. So you look for the main one. And that's why he's going there. Lump on.
So your thinking is, when you, I mean, you're the champion flat, maybe you're not in this position, I don't know. So you have a choice of those 4 or 5 meetings on a Saturday or whatever. You go to the one, ideally, you go to the one where you're going to have, as much as you can know, you're going to have at least one winner.
Exactly, yeah. Or some days now, if the lock hinge was on her, you have to go to that meet.
Yeah.
But on a regular day, Friday's quite a busy day now. There's loads of meetings every Friday. Yeah. Look closely. Why is he going there and not there? And especially relative to home.
Relative to where you are.
Yeah, and like Salisbury could be on, and why the hell is he going to Warwick?
Right.
It wouldn't happen that often, but it does now and again.
Thank you for that. The clues are there, as they say.
Hi, you alright? I made some coffee. I'd love to retain my title. And then, I think it's important that you give it a good go to retain it. And after that, I'm not worried who's champion jockey, but next year it's a big year and an important year for me, I feel. And I want to ride 200 winners. If I can do it, I don't know, but there was definitely 10 weeks of the season last year. Well, the first 5 I didn't ride, and the last 5 I was only going when I had to go.
Some punters got on you when you had the ban and everything.
Yeah.
Your price went out big to be champion. Some
See,
were
they
bold
didn't-
and got on.
Yeah, they probably looked at the stats, and I knew I wouldn't get too far back. The only one that could get away was Ryan.
And then when he had his fall,
No, but when I came back, he was only 20 in front of me.
right.
You know, and that's nothing. That's a good week. You know, to bring it back to within single figures,
Yeah.
and then that's nothing with 6 months ahead.
Happy days for Hughesy.
Very happy, and gosh, I do know how lucky I am. I spent the days wishing I could get on those rides and beating myself up over why couldn't I get on them. I wasn't bloody working hard enough. That's why I wasn't getting on them.
But that's all different now.
Different now. I work hard and get rewarded.
But you've earned it. You know, people.
Yeah, I've earned it out.
You put in your shift, whether it's in Ireland, whether it's in the UK. You've done your. You know.
Yeah, I spent long enough, or most of my, well, up until the last 7 years, playing at the game, thinking the game owed me something because I had a bit of talent, but not actually working. Half working and thinking I should be getting everything. But now I work an honest, hard, good honest day's work, and it's paying off.
Indeed it has. Congratulations.
Cheers.
And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear boy.
Cheers.